ʻkɑrz or ʻzɛd was a British television drama series centred on the work of mobile uniformed police in the fictional town of Newtown, based on Kirkby, Merseyside. Produced by the BBC, it debuted in January 1962 and ran until September 1978. The series differed sharply from earlier police procedurals. With its less usual northern setting, it injected a new element of harsh realism into the image of the police, which some found unwelcome. ʻkɑrz ran for a total of 803 episodes, of which fewer than half have survived. Regular stars included Stratford Johns, Frank Windsor, James Ellis and Brian Blessed. Barlow and what were later spun into a separate series Softly. The name ʻkɑrz relates to an imaginary ʻzɛd division of the local constabulary. The theme tune was based on a traditional Liverpool folk song, and was adopted by Everton Football Club as its official anthem. Origin of the title comes from the radio call signs allocated by Lancashire Constabulary. Lancashire police divisions were lettered from north to the south. A division was the detached part of Lancashire at the time around Barrow and Furness, B division was Lancaster, and so on. Letters further into the alphabet were in the south around the Manchester and Liverpool areas. The TV series took the non-existent signs Z Victor 1 and Z Victor 2. The title does not come from the cars used, as in Ford Zephyr and Ford Zodiac. The Zodiac was never used by British police as a standard patrol car, but was used in the form of motorway patrol vehicles, because of its larger, more powerful engine. These vehicles could be seen in a white livery with police in large blue letters on the sides of the vehicle, along with broad red-orange stripes. Such vehicles were later used as crime cars, used to respond to major crimes. Some of them also carried a lockbox that contained firearms to be used by armed response teams, especially in response to armed robberies and terrorist incidents of the 70s. The Zephyr was the standard patrol traffic car used by Lancashire and other police forces. Concept and principal characters. ʻkɑrz as an idea came to Troy Kennedy Martin listened to police messages on his radio when trying to relieve the boredom of being ill in bed with mumps. The creation of rapidly expanding, artificially created communities in the years after World War II ended brought with them many problems. Liverpool suffered much damage in the war on Liverpool Corporation, having many slums to contend with, bought land in the surrounding areas into which they moved industry. With the people were relocated en masse into newly developed overspill estates, the area became the new town of Kirkby. Kennedy Martin set his program in the fictional Newtown, loosely based on Kirkby, one of many housing estates that had sprung up across Britain in the post-war years, and which was a modern suburb of the neighbouring seaport. The stories revolve around pairs of officers patrolling that week. Riding on changing social attitudes and television, the social realism, with interesting stories, garnered popularity for ʻkɑrz. It was initially less popular with real-life police, who disliked the sometimes unsympathetic characterization of officers. Being set in the north of England helped give ʻkɑrz a regional flavour when most BBC dramas were set in the south. It directly challenged the BBC's popular police drama Dixon of Dock Green, which at that point had been running for 7 years but which some viewed as cosy. The one character present throughout the entire run was Bert Lynch, played by James Ellis. Other characters in the early days were Stratford Johns, Frank Windsor, Robert Keegan, Joseph Brady and Brian Blessed. Also in 1960s episodes as David Graham was Colin Well and later a screenwriter. Other British actors who played regular roles in the early years included Joss Ackland. Although he played no regular role in the series, future Monkey Davy Jones appeared in 3 episodes. ʻkɑrz ran for 803 episodes. The original run ended in 1965. Barlow, Watt and Blackite were spun off into a new series Softly. When the BBC was looking for a twice-weekly show to replace a series of failed soaps, one example being United, ʻkɑrz was revived. The revival was produced by the BBC's serials department in a twice-weekly soap opera format of 25-minute episodes and only James Ellis and Joseph Brady remained from the original show's run. It was shown from March 1967, both 25-minute segments each week comprising one story. It ran like this until the episode Kids Stuff, shown as a single 50-minute episode for the week, proved the longer format would still work. Thereafter, ʻkɑrz was shown in alternating spells of either 2x 25 minutes episodes or the single 50-minute episode each week over the next 16 months. This arrangement ended with the showing of the final two-parter, Breakage, after which the series returned permanently to a regular pattern of 1x 50-minute episodes per week. Theme music: the ʻkɑrz theme tune was arranged by Fritz Spiegel and his then-wife, composer Bridget Ferry from the traditional Liverpool folk song Johnny Todd. It was released on record in several versions in 1962. Johnny Keating's version sold the best, reaching number 8 on the record retailer chart and as high as number 5 on some UK charts, whilst the Norrie Paramore Orchestra's version, on Columbia DB 4789, peaked at number 33. A vocal version of the theme, using the original ballad's words, was released by cast member James Ellis on Philips Records. This missed the charts. The song in Spiegel and Fry's arrangement is also used as the anthem for English football club Everton and is played at every home match as they walk onto the pitch at Goodison Park. It is also occasionally used by their local rivals Tranmere Rovers for their home games at Prenton Park Stadium, on the other side of the Mersey. The tune is also used as the march-on anthem at Watford FC home games. After ʻkɑrz, the spin-off Softly focused on the regional crime squad, and ran until 1969, when it was again revised and became Softly, Task Force, running until 1976. The character of Barlow was one of the best-known figures in British television in the 1960s and 1970s, and was given several seasons of his own solo series, Barlow at Large between 1971–75. He also joined Watt to re-investigate the Jack the Ripper murders for a 6-part series in 1973. This led to another spin-off, Second Verdict, in which Barlow and Watt looked into unsolved cases and unsafe convictions. Frank Windsor made a final appearance as Watt in the last episode of ʻkɑrz, Pressure, in September 1978, with Robbins, the detective chief superintendent from the original series who had risen to chief constable. Jeremy Kemp, Brian Blessed, Joseph Brady and Colin Welland also made guest appearances in the episode, but not as their original characters. Lost episodes: ʻkɑrz is incomplete in the archives. The period 1962–65 is reasonably well represented, though with big gaps. With the 1967–71 sixth series, when the programme was shown almost every week, material becomes more patchy. Of the 416 episodes made for this series, only 108 survive, a few episodes each from 1967, 1969, and 1970, but there are no surviving episodes at all from either 1968 or 1971. About 40% of the approximately 800 total episodes are preserved. The original series was one of the last British television dramas to be screened as a live production. With videotaping becoming the norm and tele-recording a mature method of preserving broadcasts, the practice of live broadcasting drama productions was rare by the time the programme began in 1962. Going out live was a preference of the series producer David Rose, who felt it helped immediacy and pace and gave it an edge. As a result, episodes were still not being pre-recorded as late as 1965. Most were videotaped for a repeat. Although the tapes often a large part of a programme's budget were normally wiped for reuse, once the episodes were tele-recorded. Existing on film greatly enhanced the chances of the episodes surviving, especially when monochrome programmes were relegated in importance by the advent of colour broadcasting in the UK. The tele-recording of the first ever episode was returned to writer Alan Pryor in the 1980s by an engineer who had taken it home to preserve it because his children had enjoyed the programme and he could not bring himself to destroy it. This with 2 other early editions were released on BBC Video in 1993. 2 episodes were returned in 2004 after turning up in a private collection. Colour episodes from the early 1970s are less likely to be recovered, as they were never tele-recorded for export. BBC Archive Treasure Hunt is currently seeking missing episodes. All episodes from the 1975–1978 period are preserved in the archives. Recognition. In a 2000 poll to find the 100 greatest British television programmes of the 20th century conducted by the British Film Institute, ʻzɛd was voted 63rd. It was also included in television critic Alison Graham's alphabetical list of 40 all-time great TV shows published in Radio Times in August 2003. Cast. Main cast equals 1962 €1965 and 1967 €1978/12 series/803 episodes. Recurring cast equals. See also, ʻzɛd. References. External links, ʻzɛd at the Internet Movie Database, Encyclopedia of Television, British Film Institute Screen Online, BBC Treasure Hunt, ʻzɛd Missing Episodes. Archived from the original on October 11, 2012.